Hey everybody, Green Newfa here, coming at you from my basement. So my basement I use for two functions. It's my kombucha overflow room. When I make my kombucha upstairs, anything left over that I can't put in a keg, I bring it down here and I put it in big plastic jars. I keep all my empty bottles and all that stuff down here. I don't know if you can see all that. Sorry, it's all being filmed by my phone. And it also doubles as my microgreen room. So I have trays and trays and trays. I don't even know if you can see that over there. I grow all my microgreens down here. Sometimes grow them out in the greenhouse. Other times I grow them down here in the basement. We're going to get to that. You're all going to be growing microgreens in your house pretty soon. So make some room. All you need is a closet. I hadn't planned on doing the... So I got to keep looking at the camera. Again, sorry, I'm not a video guy. So I need to... I keep looking at myself, which is very egomaniac of me. So I need to look at the camera. Hello. Basically, I thought I would start... I would move the kombucha video up because I'm actually helping 2 or 3 people right now as we speak set up kombucha brewing shops in their house just so that they can have their own setup. It's so easy, it's not even funny. So I don't know how basic we want to go. Maybe you know about kombucha, maybe you don't know about kombucha. Kombucha has been around forever, literally thousands and thousands of years. It comes from Asia, and they've been making it over there for thousands and thousands of years. It's a probiotic beverage, basically, that people use. I'm going to push this back because there we go. It's a probiotic beverage that it came to the U.S. and Canada in the 1990s. And you couldn't buy it over here to save your money, to save your life. And now it's the sexiest thing in the world. They actually had a kombucha con in California last year, and I very nearly went to it. I'm probably going to go to it this year. It's an opportunity for everybody that brews kombucha. It's mostly professional, big operations that do it, so that's why I ultimately didn't go. But after I watched a couple of YouTube videos on all the free samples that they were giving away, I said, I got to go next year for sure because this is crazy. So if you're hooked on sodas, you just can't have good health drinking sodas. End of story, full stop, period. It's just so full of chemicals, and you can Google the effects of aspartame and all the nasty chemicals in sodas. But people are addicted to it, and I haven't had a soda in living memory 20 years probably, but back in the day I drank them. I drank them all the time. I was a Diet Pepsi guy, and I used to drink a Diet Pepsi every day, sometimes 2. And then I read a book. It was called Sugar Blues, and if you read Sugar Blues, you will never drink another soda again. So everyone should go out and read it. It'll just send you screaming, right? You will look at it as absolute poison, which it kind of is. You can't really have long-term health sucking back sodas. Now, that being said, a lot of people are addicted to hearing that and putting it over ice and seeing all the bubbles and all that kind of stuff. That's kombucha, right? Kombucha is basically a tea. It's a tea that you brew in your own. You can buy them, right? So it was ridiculous the amount of money. And I'm not pushing any brands. I don't have anything to do with these guys. But I keep all my bottles, right? GT is my favorite brand by a country mile. GT Dave, his story is just famous. He's in California, started brewing it at his mom's house or something, and now he's the biggest manufacturer of it, in the United States. There's all kinds of different kombucha bottles. Everybody and their sister now is making kombucha and selling it. Back in the day, you'd be lucky to get GT anywhere at a store, and now Sprouts and Whole Foods and all that, they have kombucha sections where it's just 20 different manufacturers of kombucha. At any one time, I've got 16 gallons upstairs tapping into 7, so I've got whatever 16 is 23. Sorry, I was told there'd be no math. So I've got 23 gallons of it, and then I've usually got at least another 5 or 6 in the keg at any one time. So I'm tapping off and putting it in kegs because it's just a lot easier, and it just really looks cool. I have 3 taps in my games room. I have a bar in my house. incredibly well stocked with beer, but I don't drink any of that stuff at all. But we have a lot of parties, so it's always nice to have it on tap for people that want to have it. But I don't drink it myself. So I converted one tap to kombucha, and now I've actually got 2 taps done in kombucha. So growing kombucha yourself, though, is like these puppies here are like $4 or $5 each. In the U.S., maybe $3 each. Up in Newfoundland, probably $4 or $5 each, which is insane because you can grow this stuff. You can make this stuff yourself for pennies. So I've got a video that I've been piecing together because I always have kombucha on, so it's pretty easy to film it. But I just want to do a quick little intro on kombucha. Primarily what people drink it for is for gut health. It's so good for your digestion. It's just like, it's a fermented food. So very good for immune system. It's good for detoxification. It's good, some people say it's anti-cancer. It's got glucosamines in it. So glucosamines are good for joint and arthritis and that sort of thing. So the thing that I like about it is you really do get the feeling that you are having a soda, right? You can flavor it with whatever you want. We can get into flavoring. The batch that I'm going to be showing on this video, I was at the grocery store and they had boxes of mango on sale. So I bought a box of mango and I had some pineapple. The batch I have in my keg now is blueberry. And then I flavor it every single thing. My all-time favorite, but this is just going to be digging the knife in because you guys Newfoundland, they don't sell them, but nopal cactus fruit, these little tiny nopal cactus fruit. You can get them anywhere down here in any Mexican store. And they're like 3 for $1. They're dirt cheap. They're delicious. Take a whole bunch of those, gut them up, squish them up, put in some mint, and then put that in. That's my all-time favorite kombucha. I make it myself and I just love it. So I'll get down to business. Everybody should be drinking kombucha on a regular basis. Everybody should be taking probiotics on a regular basis. There's more probiotics in a batch of kombucha than there is in a bottle of probiotics. So, and it's just so nice to have it on tap. You can keep it. You can put it over ice, and you can just drink it right out of the tap. If you want to keg it, I'll show you how to do that too. It's very, very simple. It all, again, it's a rabbit hole. If you want to really go down the rabbit hole, you could have a kegerator in your house, and you could literally have 2 kombuchas or 1 kombucha or whatever on tap, and that would replace everything in terms of what you would drink. It's the healthiest thing you can put in your body. Well, that's not true. I mean, it's unbelievably healthy, and it doesn't have the sugar. So I'll explain what happens to the sugar, because you do have to put a dump truck load of sugar in when you make it. But let's get down to business, okay? So the next step will be, number 1, brewing your pot from scratch. And then we're going to move on to cooling and talking about the SCOBY. And then we're going to talk about racking it into flavoring. And then ultimately into bottling or kegging, however you want to do it. So it's very cool. Going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to hearing everybody and seeing their success stories and their brew sit-ups in their house. Alrighty. Green Newfie signing up. Okay, so let's kick it off. I'm going to be using a 6-gallon brew pot. Now, you do not have to have this big a pot. You just basically need to, whatever pot you're going to use, you just fill it up with water. In this case, I'm going to use an awful lot of tea bags. So I've got some Trader Joe's tea here. Normally I'd use organic, but I just don't have it here today. And then we've got a great big, I just go to Costco or Sam's Club and just buy the biggest old bag of organic sugar that I can, because we have to use basically a cup of sugar per gallon. And we have to use 8 tea bags per gallon as well. So in a batch this size, you're going to use a lot. In a smaller batch, it's really a piece of cake. So they're going to take a few minutes to fill up. Then you're going to turn the heat on. Take it up to 195, and then you're going to let it steep. You'll put in all the tea, all the sugar, and let it steep for 10 minutes. And then basically you take it off the heat and you let it sit overnight to cool down, because you obviously don't want to introduce hot tea to the SCOBY that we'll get to next, because you're going to burn SCOBY, and you don't want to do that. SCOBY is part of the family. So we'll let this thing fill up, and we will be back to make our kombucha. Here we go. So step 1, we've got the water in the pot already. And I've got the pot turned on. What we need to do now, and there's a million ways to do this, I have a little timer here, and if I hold down the button for 3 seconds, 195 degrees. So all you're really doing is making a large pot of tea. So I take this, and I gotta stick it up there, and I drop the probe in, and now the alarm is set, and it'll tell me when it's 195 degrees. 8 tea bags per gallon, so depending on how many gallons you have, just multiply it by 8. I've got about 7 gallons in here. That's probably about 6. So call it 48, so I'll throw in 50 tea bags. So I think I videoed already. This is Trader Joe's tea bags. There's 80 tea bags. There's 40 in a pack. 40 and 40 is 80. So I know this is 40 right here. So I need to get another, call it 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 40 and 10. Save those for the next batch. And then we need sugar. So I've got, as I showed before, the organic sugar from Costco. So 1, 2. Now this looks like a crap ton of sugar, but yet there is no sugar in kombucha. So what in the heck is going on? When we finish off the tea and we let it cool and we pour it in with the SCOBY, you'll see the SCOBY will start eating the sugar, which is what creates all the probiotics. So there's 6 cups right there, 50 tea bags, and now we're just waiting for that alarm to go off. As soon as that goes off, in goes the tea bags, in goes the sugar, and we'll be right back. Okay, cheers. Here we go with the kombucha plan. Any second now we're going to hear a beep, beep, beep. Or maybe not. It's 195 degrees, so that's what we need. So first thing you want to do is turn it down, because you've had this thing on, you don't want it to turn into a galloping boil. So just turn it down so you maintain 195 degrees. We're already up to 196. So anyway, I'm just going to take this out temporarily. And in go the tea bags. So for the batch that I have, 6 gallons, 50 tea bags. So 8 per gallon. So if you have a 1 gallon pot, measure out your gallon of water, put in 8 tea bags and 1 cup of sugar. As we've seen already, we've got 6 cups of sugar here. The trick when you're pouring in sugar is to stir the pot. If you don't stir the pot, the sugar will all settle to the bottom and it'll scorch on the bottom of the pan. Happens all the time, and you wind up getting a great big pile of goo. Now, another problem that you have, that I have right now, that I'm going to have to fix, is I have got too much water. Okay, let's just kill all this. Pretty dumb mistake right there. I filled up the pot too much, which can happen, which you want to get as much out of it as you can. So basically now I've got to scoop out just a couple of cups and just pour it out so I have room for the sugar, because I literally filled the thing up to capacity. Brewing is always about making as much as you can with as little effort as you can. So I now have got a little bit of space. I'm probably going to have to take out a little bit more. I'll keep dumping in sugar and keep stirring, stirring, stirring. This will do it. It's going to get right up to the top, but that's fine, because as the pot boils, the steam is going to be let off and the water level is going to drop. So for a couple of seconds anyway, until it's all stirred in, I can feel the sugar crunching around down at the bottom. You want to stir on so that there's no sugar sitting on the bottom of the pot. We're still at 196 degrees. Oh no, we're not. We're at 145 degrees because the probe is not in the pot. Probe is back in the pot. It's around 195 degrees. So keep stirring it until you don't hear that crunchy crunchy. And ideally, the way to get rid of the crunchy crunchy is to pour the sugar in a lot slower. Normally, I'll just do a cup at a time. So I'll do 6 cups and stir as we go. Now, right now, I can hear, no crunchy crunchy. So this is basically all set. 195. We've got the right number of tea bags. We've got the right amount of sugar. So now this is no different than brewing yourself a cup of tea, except you would be a giant to drink it. So that's it. We're going to hack the clock now, and in 10 minutes we'll be ready to filter out the tea bags. Okay, giddy up. So here we go. 10 minutes later, we've shut the temperature. I've turned the heat off. We're up to 10 minutes. And now it's time to get rid of the tea bags. So all you need to do is just take a filter. In we go. Remove all of them. Because what we're going to do now is we're just going to let this thing sit overnight to cool down. And once it's cooled down, we'll be able to introduce the SCOBY, the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, which is going to go to work on the sugar in the container. Sorry, there we go. And turn it all into a probiotic. So that's it. I have a cover for this downstairs I'm going to put on just to keep any bugs or anything out of it. Not that I think we have any bugs in here. The tea bags, they're wonderful in compost. If you've got a compost, throw them in. If you've got a garden, you're growing vegetables or flowers or anything, I believe it's nitrogen in tea bags that really helps kick the soil into gear. So don't throw those out, for goodness sakes. Throw them out into your garden and churn it all in. Our garden has so many tea bags, you could, when it rains, you could actually just go have a cup of tea in the garden. So that's it. That is step number 1 done. So we will let this cool and pick it up tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody. Okay, so here we are. It is the next day. Our kombucha is cooled. Now, the one thing you notice is that there is this film across the top. Now, I have never seen in any literature at all what it is. I don't know if it's good. I just tap it off in there. I don't know if it's bad. All I know is it just kind of looks gross. So I take this off. It only takes a second. And then I tap it off in there. Half of it doesn't want to come out. And I get this up out of it. Other than this, everything is pristine. You've got yourself a very large batch of tea here ready to go. So that looks pretty good. That takes out most of it. And next, it is time to introduce this into the mother. Okay then, so the trick is, if there's a trick, there's the SCOBY down there. And I still have a couple of inches of kombucha down in the pot. So every time you make a new batch, you have to have old kombucha to mix with the new batch. So you want to make sure you leave enough in the pot so that you have kombucha for the next batch. So I managed to get about 6 gallons tapped out of that one, which is now, and you could put it in bottles or you could put it in a keg and you can drink it just like that. And that'll taste just fine in a couple of days. Or you can go ahead and flavor it. So the trick is, no matter how big a vessel you use, if you use a great big primary like this, or if you just have a little small 1 gallon pot or 2 gallon pot, make sure you leave wherever your mother SCOBY is hanging out, which is in this thing for me, I always leave a couple of inches of tea until I fill it up. So what I'll do now is I'll take the original pot that I have once it's cooled, and I'll pour it right in on top of this guy, and then he'll have another 6 gallons to keep him happy and sugar to keep him nice and big and fat. So that is the next step. Okay, so the next step now is to put the cooled tea in with the mother. So there's the mother down in the pot, and that is already existing kombucha that it's sitting in. So mother's going to need to get a bit of sugar in her pretty soon, or she's going to get cranky. So this is basically going to do it. So, like I said, you don't have to have a big pot like this. You can have your mother, so you can have the SCOBY sitting in a small pot and just continually fill it up. So, at this point, this can get a little bit messy because it's so big, but in she goes. Okay, so most of it went in. Half of it went on the floor. And so at this point, you get a towel and you clean up and rest. But anyway, happy mother, happy SCOBY. And now we're going to let that sit for a week until all the sugar's eaten up. And then we're going to move on to the next step, which is racking it out, transferring it from this into a plastic container where we're going to add the flavor.